Turning Point UK is an absolute catastrophe. Never in my life have I seen a political organisation so incredibly disorganised. Apart from the Conservative Party. The entire thing was really doomed from the start. From key members leaving just days after they launched, really, really bad public engagement, and most notably the hundreds, if not thousands, of fake Turning Point accounts, including yours truly. The entire thing was the most beautiful car crash I've ever had the pleasure of witnessing. So, what is this horrible nightmare, and how did we end up in this mess? Well, Turning Point started as Turning Point USA, which were a free-thinking group of classical liberals dedicated to the principles of freedom, free markets, and limited government. And also apparently thinking Hitler wasn't that bad, you guys. Like, clearly he did a lot of bad stuff outside of Germany, but his domestic policy was actually pretty economically sound, what with all the slave labour. But anyway, TPUSA, it's going pretty good. You've got a terrifyingly large amount of people who engage with you. You're harassing people on college campuses. You know, it's not bad for someone who thinks this is innovative grassroots messaging. Remember, kids, commies aren't cool. The whole thing started when the winner of the 2018 Smallest Face Award, Charlie Kirk, met up with this rich white dude and convinced him to fund the entire thing. Fucking... really? Hey, maybe his face is actually normal sized and it's just the rest of his head that's really big. Regardless, it wasn't long before Charlie realised that the United States isn't the only country that's having a totally normal one with regards to the recent surge of global fascism. Equipped with nothing more than his educational resources and the backing of numerous UK politicians, he moved across the Atlantic to start a new journey with Turning Point UK. When it launched, it had strong support. Jacob Rees-Mogg, Priti Patel, even Brainforce Plus Man himself. Now, surely the people running this thing had to be masters of their craft. Only the most well-versed in facts and logic would be allowed at the controls of this train wreck. Well, why don't you meet the team? They couldn't even get their website to work. First up, Tom Harwood, a former journalist with such gems as Tom Harwood discusses Tory left-wingery. Tom, buddy, you can't just make up words. Then we've got Dominique Samuels, infamous for her supreme rational debate skills. She blocked me on Twitter after I said this, so I don't really know that much about her. There's also Rafi Lakhdar, who is apparently the creative designer. I'm assuming that means he's responsible for all those terrible memes. Finally, the man behind the myth, the intellectual mastermind himself, champion of free movement and of looking as uncomfortable as possible. It's Darren Grimes, everyone! Apparently there's also like 3 more of them, but I couldn't find literally any evidence of that apart from this photograph. Anyway, the stage was set for the big day. They even made a short introductory video as well.
We shouldn't be judging ideas by their intentions. We should be judging them by their outcome.
Why do these people always look like they're on the verge of tears?
Why does the left hate everything good?
The left hates...
It's time for a turning point.
It's time for a turning point.
It's time for a turning point.
Oh shit, they're doing it. They're doing it.
It's time for a turning point.
It's time to stop. Regardless, the launch was going well. They got a shout out from their American counterparts, and more than 10,000 people followed the official Twitter account of Turning Point UK. Sorry, I meant Turning Point UK. Sorry, I meant Turning Point UK. Oh shit, that's actually a charity with the same name. TP UK Oxford, or Manchester? Hang on, there's 2 Manchesters, oh god. For God's sake, which one's real, and which one's the parody? You see, the crucial mistake this man has made is that he's assuming one of them is real. And with so many parodies floating around, mistakes were bound to be made. Politicians and public figures started engaging with the wrong people. Fucking really? Really? I mean... talk about the mask slipping off. In order to avoid confusion, the official Turning Point UK Twitter account instructed people to only follow accounts that it was following. The problem? It was following the parody accounts. How? Meanwhile, the fake account started organising. They now numbered in their hundreds, possibly thousands, with one for pretty much every town and city in the UK you can think of. The regional branches that were official, like Oxford, simply couldn't survive under the sheer amount of pure, unadulterated shitposting. Jokes about the size of people's faces are not funny, and could be considered a hate crime. Charlie Kirk is 100 times the activist that any of you cultural Marxists ever will be. It soon became apparent that drastic action was needed. In what was to become the first major cell phone of the week, the official Twitter account decided to suspend all regional chapters effective immediately, just 5 days after they opened. Things obviously weren't going well, and back in the United States they knew they needed to bring out the big guns, something that would finally bring victory in the culture war against the cultural Marxist Antifa SJWs. I love that our recent launch of Turning Point UK is causing such a stir overseas. This is precisely our intention. Yes! Charlie Kirk and I will be heading to Europe, where a disruption in socialist ideologies is desperately needed on university campuses. See you guys in March. But where, Candice? Where will we see you? What if I can't go to London or Brighton? What if Turning Point UK was such a fucking disaster that it couldn't secure a venue in Nottingham? And from there, things just got worse. During her appearance in London, Candace Owens decided to get up on stage and point out the fact that Hitler wasn't entirely awful, you guys. Like, he just wanted what was best for Germany, until he invaded Czechoslovakia, which is globalism, which is bad. This was presumably the last straw for Tom Harwood, who left the organisation shortly afterwards. For the people who stayed at Turning Point, though, all hope was not lost. They were eventually able to secure a Nottingham venue, and in doing so they lost their Brighton venue. Fantastic. And this is where I personally began to lose interest. I was running out of jokes, and I realised that I suddenly had a group of unironic neo-Nazis who were following my every word. And, unlike some internet personalities, I decided that that alone was reason enough to just stop doing it. The same can't be said of Turning Point UK though. After advertising these talks for weeks on end, they eventually realised that no one wants to go all the way to Brighton to listen to the world's smallest talking head. Hey, what if his face is actually projected onto his head and someone just moved him back a bit? TP UK limped on, of course, but the fake accounts had done their job. People were starting to confuse the real accounts for the fake ones, even their own fan base. And purely by existing, the fake accounts had damaged any chance TP UK ever had of expanding into regional branches, similar to their American counterparts. And I think that's wonderful. Through the power of memeing the shit out of them, we were able to take on one of the most well-funded political organisations in recent years, and we won. Starving people of oxygen and deplatforming them absolutely works. It's a valid tactic, and it made me feel so happy to be a part of it. Anyway, that's about it. TP UK is still happening, with a significantly smaller fanbase than before. The fake accounts also set up a fundraiser for the charity I mentioned earlier with the same name. I'll put a link in the description so you can go over there and donate if you feel like it. Feel free to subscribe, or not if you don't want to. But remember, if someone's doing something you don't like, make sure to create hundreds of fake accounts and harass them until they go away. Bye!